Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So it's time for a redux, and you know every once in a while I like to take an old video that I'm not that happy with, some of my beginning videos, and redo it and make it more beautiful and easier for you to do. So the Spring Fling Cleopatra bracelet is this one. This is what it looked like. So I've made it into a nice big wide one. There's the connection here. I've used some cut buttons. The original, I will link it down below. However, the intro is way too long and I apologize. And I want to say thank you for those of you who just stuck with me through my long intros, because I'm so much better now and a better teacher, I think. Anyway, the one we're going to do today is using some of the beads from the Orchid Oasis collection. And that's the collection that was curated by Eureka Crystal Beads and Gina from Orchid and Opal Beaded Jewelry. So we'll be using the Tilas from there and several of the other beads. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to launch right into a materials list so we can get going on this. So let me pull out a little bit. Wait, okay, there we go. So what you'll need are some Tilas, and the Tilas, these are those pretty mauve Tilas or pinkish from the collection. This is a quarter Tila. We're using those. That's also from the collection. I used a half Tila on this one and Bicones, but you can use a quarter, or if you have a half Tila, use a half. I'm using the pinch bead from the collection. On this one, I used a 4mm bicone. You can use a 4mm fire polish, a 4mm, anything, 4mm pearl. You can use the pearl from a collection. I think will fit in there as long as, you know, you can get the beads around it and it comes out, you know, it looks good like that. So I've got two 11 seed beads. This one's from the collection. It's this sort of cranberry color. And I'm using a silver Miyuki here and a 15-0. And you'll need, here we go, a couple of cut buttons if you want to put that closure on. You don't have to, whatever closure you like. I think the original had it might have had a toggle and a loop, or it might have had just 8mm crystals. I don't remember, I can't find the bracelet. Stop bead, I'm using Wildfire. And Wildfire works so good for this bracelet. I really prefer it over Fireline for the bracelet. But you could still use Fireline. I just like using the Wildfire. And I'm using the gray color so that you don't see the thread with the pink. This one, I used the green Wildfire. So really like using these colors. Size 10 beading needle. Did I say stop bead? I think that's all you're going to need. Don't forget to check the description box below the video for all sizes, shapes, colors. My Ringberries mat, the big mat, there's a coupon code for that. The No More Oops bead tray, there's a link down there. There's a link to Potomac Beads cup buttons. I think they're exclusive to Potomac Beads, and there's also a coupon code for Potomac Beads. So really very important that you click the down arrow, the show more. Everything is there. Amounts of beads, you need colors. I'll put all the colors to this one down there as well as this one. So lots of info down there, things I forget, you know, little things I want to share with you and such. All right, so I'm going to clear this off and we're going to get started on this redux. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and leave enough of a tail to sew in. We'll add the clasp later. So I've picked up and dropped down to my stop bead, 1 Tila, a 15-0, a pinch bead of 15-0, a Tila, 15-0 pinch bead, 15-0, and a Tila. And when you pick up your Tilas, they do have one side that's a little different than the other side. Honestly, it's hard for me to tell with this, sorry about that, this shiny pink one. I can tell a little bit better with the matte one, but you know, kind of get the side you want up. Usually it's sort of the more rounded side, but these both look pretty rounded to me. So just what I do is I just pick it up on the same side all the time. So if I'm going to pick up this one, the next one I'm going to pick up through that hole as well and see how that goes. All right, so this is what I have. I'm going to pick up 3 of the color 11-0s. That's sort of like cranberry color. I'm going to sew back down through the top. So that's adding a little bead on the outside. And it's very, like most beading, clumsy at first, but we'll get there. Pick up a Tila. And you know, as I said, I'm just looking at the side. That looks good. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through the other side of the Tila. I'm exiting. Like that. I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and I'm going to sew through the pinch bead. Like that. just holding with my thumb, and that kind of keeps everything straight. So this is what I have so far. I'm going to pick up another 15-0. I'm going to sew through this Tila, the other hole of that Tila. And don't worry about it if they sort of start to sit on each other, sit on top of each other. Just hold it with your thumb and give it a little pull, and everything will sit into place. I'm going to pick up a Tila. I'm going to sew through the other side of the Tila I'm exiting. I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pick up a pinch bead, a 15-0, and sew through the pinch. Do that again. 15-0, sew through the bottom Tila, like that. I'm going to pick up a Tila. I'm going to sew through the other side of the Tila I'm exiting. There we go. Like that. Pop that into place. I'm going to sew up through this hole on this Tila right here. And don't worry about the outside edge. We will get both those outside edges in a minute. All right, so this is what I have so far. So just get to that point and then come back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So let's continue. So you're exiting this hole of this bottom Tila. You can pick up 2 11-0s, 2 of your quarter Tilas, and you want to pick those up the same way. So on, the flatter side, or, the rounded side is always on top. Again, very hard to see, but there is a difference. So here, 2 11-0s, 2 the quarters, 2 11-0s, sewing right up through this Tila. Like that. Doing that again. 2 11-0s this time, 2 quarters, 1, 2, here we go, and 2 11-0s. Right back up through this guy. Three of my outside 11-0s. Down through here. Oops. Get an extra one on there. So down through this one. Like that. Pick up a Tila. Oops. Sew through this one. Two 11-0s through the 2 quarters. Two 11-0s through the next Tila. Pick up a Tila. Sew through the other side of the Tila you're exiting. Two 11-0s through the quarters. And I'm always pushing these into place, giving a little pull. Two 11-0s through the Tila. 3 11-0s going up through this one. Just put the outside color on, coming down through this one. And then you want to put that last Tila on, picking up a Tila, So for the other side of the seed bead, of the Tila, you're exiting, and then up through the sky. Now you set up to put more beads on. So get that done and come back, and we'll kind of do the next couple of rows just so that you get it, and then I'll send you off on your own. Or if you think you got it and you want to just continue, you can go ahead and do that. Here we'll do a couple more rows, and then I'll send you off to have some fun. So 15-0, pinch 15-0, up through this one. I'm gonna go a little faster because we're, I think we've got it. 15-0, pinch 15-0, through the next one. 3 of your outside beads. So through this one. Pick up a Tila. So through the other side of the Tila you're exiting. A 15-0. Through the pinch. $15 through the Tila, pressing them down as I go. Tila through the other side of the Tila you're exiting. 15-0 through the pinch. $15 through the Tila. 3 of your outside beads. So up through this one. The other side of the Tila. Now you have to add this Tila, picking up a Tila. So through the other side of the Tila I'm exiting. I'll get you up just this one side, one more, so up through this one, just with your needle and thread. 2 11-0s, 2 quarters, and 2 11-0s. Through this one. Two 11-0s, 2 quarters, 2 11-0s. Through the next one. Three 11-0s, my outside beads through this guy. Put on a Tila. So through the other side of the Tila you're exiting. Going down now. 2 11-0s through the 2 quarters. 2 11-0s through the next Tila. Put on a Tila. Two 11-0s through the 2 quarters. I'm straightening everybody out as we go along. 2 11-0s through the next Tila. 3 of my outside beads through here. Sewing through the other side of the Tila, like that. Adding a Tila. Just sewing through the Tila. And up this guy, the bottom Tila. So we're ready to put more beads on. All right, so this is what we have so far. And just make sure you pull everybody in and everybody's nice and straight. And you can keep pressing on it as you go along. And like I said, eventually it all just sits into place. So that's what we're gonna do all the way down the length of your bracelet minus your clasp. So have fun with that. It goes really fast because these beads are so big. So get that done and then come on back and we'll put on the clasp and we'll be done. Okay, we're back. So now I'm going to actually make a abbreviated version. However, you have plenty of Tilas to make a bracelet this size, which mine is about 6.5 inches, 5.5 inches of beading, but I've used about 60 Tilas, 63 Tilas so far. I have about 45 left. You have plenty to make a bigger bracelet. You're not going to run out. So this is where I am on my beading. I'm going to end with my pinch bead because that's how I started. You can, whichever, it doesn't matter. It would be nice to have the same thing at either end. So ending with the pinch bead. I have put on, I put on the quarter Tilas, and then I went up, I added the pinch beads, I added my 3 11-0s at the top, and normally if we're continuing to bead, I would add a Tila here, but I'm going to end it. I'm not going to add a Tila. I'm just going to pick up a 15-0, and I'm going to just sew through the next pinch bead. So 15-0, sew through the Tila. So I'm just not adding that the next row Tila on, and that's how we're going to end it. So I'll just go through this guy, through this one. I'm just putting, just like we've been doing, only we just haven't added a Tila. I'm going to pick up my 3 11-0s. I'm going to sew up through this one, and then bend back down through this one. And at this point, I'm not going to add my clasp on here. I'm going to add it on separately. So I'm going to just sew my threads in. Now, if you want to at this point, and you have thread left over, you can sew up through this one, down through this one, up here. You can go through some of the quarter Tila beads. If you want to reinforce, you can go down this line and reinforce. Take a look at your beading. Any big spaces? Are there any places that you think you should reinforce a little bit more? And you can do that with this thread. And then come back and we'll put one end of the clasp on. Okay, we're back. So let's put on the cup buttons. So I'll move this one aside. So I've threaded my needle with about 1.5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, left enough of a tail to sew in. I've just sewn up through this Tila right here. I've already sewn my thread in, and I'm exiting the top hole of this Tila right here. Okay, so I picked up 2 11-0s, my cup button, and I picked up one of the pinch beads. I'm going to sew through the other side. I went through the first hole on the cup button, sew through the other side, and bring that down. Pick up 2 11-0s. Sew through the next Tila, like that, and make sure your pinch bead sits nicely. It's slightly large for the space, but we're going to go with it. 2 11-0s, the other cup button, a pinch through the other hole of the cup button, 2 11-0s, through the end Tila. That's what we have. Now all you're going to do is sew through this one. Snake your way, I'm not going to do it, you'll just snake your way through all the beads, coming up through here again, sew through all your beads again, then you kind of sew your thread in, and then you have this end on. All right, so get that done and then we'll work on the loops. Okay, we're back, so let's finish the other side now. So what you'll have is your tail thread, and you'll have one Tila that doesn't have the 3 11-0s on the outside. So I've taken off the stop bead, threaded a needle, just picking up those 3, sewing down through the Tila like that, just to get that end done. And then I'm just going to sew this thread in. So I'm just going to work my way just this way through the Tilas. And you can, if you want to reinforce down here a little bit, you can just bring your thread all the way down to the end sew through if you need to sew. If you need to tighten anything, this is looking pretty good. And then clip that thread off and then come back and we'll put on the loops. Okay, we're back. So now that everything's sewn in, I've threaded a needle with about 1.5 feet of thread, stop bead, tail to sew in. I've, just like the other side, I've just come up through the bottom Tila, right here, through this one, through this hole, out this one. So I'm just exiting right here. I've put on my thread, my needle, drop down to my work, 2 11/0s, 2 of the quarter Tilas or 1 half Tila, and I put on 25 11/0 seed beads for my cup button. Now, if you have something sticking up, like I do here, I have the pinch bead on, you might need more. So you're just going to measure it. You're going to make your loop, and then you're going to make sure that whatever clasp you have at the other end, button, cup button, crystal, doesn't matter, is just going to fit through that loop comfortably. And then after I have that on, I'm just going to sew through the 2 quarters or the half Tila, like that. And then I'm going to pick up 2 11/0s, and I'm going to sew through this Tila. Like that. So this is what it looks like. Now this may even be, I don't know, I think that actually will fit. So I'm just going to continue on down by putting on 2 11/0s, 2 quarter Tilas, and then 25, I won't count them here, of your 11/0s, and you're going to sew through this Tila, like right there. And then you're going to sew around and down and up through all the beads again, through each loop again, until it's nice and secure. And then meet me back here and we will finish up. Okay, we're back and we're done. So I have my little bracelet. I just want to show you the clasping. So I'm going to, actually, I left my threads on so I could take the clasp off and finish this bracelet. So when I clasp it, this is what it looks like. Looks pretty with the clasp on the top or on the bottom, doesn't really matter. So there you go, there's our bracelet. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this little redux. It was fun making this one again and making it wider, changing it a little bit. All right, so I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye-bye.